I grew up kind of just floating on the breeze with whatever was being told to me by family, and there was really no direction there. I was on my way fast tracking into college, a good college, through sports, and through a bad decision, I ended up having to leave that behind to be a father. My first child was born 3 days after I turned 18. One failed relationship after the next, of course, and here I am, a father of 2 by the time I'm 21 years old. Started kind of going down a series of bad choices after that. Actually, the one thing that I did that I wasn't guilty of, and I ended up in prison for it, just being in the wrong place at the wrong time. In my small stint there, less than a year worth of time, I read the Bible 3 times from front to back. Didn't understand any of it, none of it made sense. And upon my release, I'd come back to Florida. I was able to get a gig as a football coach, and I became a pretty darn good football coach from what I thought. But over time, I learned that the thing that those parents held me up on a pedestal for, and one of the things the kids even held me up at a pedestal for, was my anger, which was how I would release that, and which was how I would discipline children in a way that I wouldn't allow anyone to talk to my kid nowadays for, but that's what they came to expect of me. Throughout that 11-year span, I had a 3rd child. Got me in a position where I was at my absolute lowest. This relationship had failed. I was left in this house with 2 boys, with no car, thousands of dollars in debt, and with nowhere to look. Well, I've got some friends that go here that were trying for 7 years to get me to come to this church with them. And I said, it's just not my thing, not my thing. And at that time, they had asked me on the right day. They never gave up on me, and they kept asking me, and they asked me just at the right day, at the right time. I wanted to be out of the house at the time. So I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'll get up, I'll go with you. As you hear so many Northlanders say, it was amazing. The pastor was speaking directly to me, you know, from the upper balcony. There he is. Every word he's saying, even if he's not looking at me, he's looking right at me, and his words are hitting me. And the very next week I came back, and Pastor Joel had, at the end, he did an altar call. He said, you know, some of you are just sick of people telling you what to do and the decisions you need to make and what you're doing wrong in your life. Some of you don't need that right now. You just need a hug. He said, if that's you, you get up and you come on down here right now and you get a hug. And it was one of the scarier moments that I'd had in my life, because my feet were moving, but I was not moving with them. They were taking me, and my friend even asked, he's like, where are you going? I don't know. So there I am, and I'm pouring out. Tears are pouring from my eyes, and I walked all the way down those side steps, and I walked up to that church, and there that little man was with his arms open, and he grabbed me and he squeezed me so tight, and he squeezed more tears out of my eyes. Stood there in front of that stage, and on my second time being in a church, I felt at home. I felt that I belonged, and I gave my life to Jesus right there in front of that stage. And after that prayer was done, it seemed like the entire church had their hands on me, and it was amazing. So it'd been a couple of years I'd been coming here, and I met my wife. Our very second time in the church was a really big day for us, because I was being baptized that day for real. Understanding what my baptism meant, understanding what Jesus had done for me, kind of looking back and seeing some of those breadcrumbs that he'd been placing for me along the way that said, one day you're going to see that I've been leading you to me this entire time. I remember that surreal feeling standing in that water. I felt so heavy at that moment. And when I came out of that water, I was soaked and I felt so light. It was an amazing feeling. It was 48 hours of straight tears for me at that point in time. And I wanted to do something with it, because now I'm understanding what Jesus did for me, and I'm understanding I can never pay that back. But I understand that he had a mission for me. It's brought us into student ministries, which is now one of my favorite things to do on my Saturday nights, is to hang out with a bunch of wacky kids. I love it. And my family comes along and they do it with me. They find areas that they can serve here as well. I can't imagine my life without finding Christ in it. That might be hard for a lot of people to believe, but not for me, man. That's probably one of the coolest things that I can think of that I've ever had happen to me in my life, was the day that he reached out and said, are you ready? Are you ready to let me in yet? You know, I've been following you your whole life. Are you ready to stop trying it your way? My way works pretty good. All right, here I am.